and welcome back for the first time in a very long time for the KungFu Cup, the KFC, the winter edition of KFC. Here we have returned to something that's very special to us. For those wondering, World Team League has returned, and with World Team League, which happens over the weekend, is a weekly open tournament, the KungFu Cup. Let's go. It is back. It has returned. The winter edition, week 1. And here we are in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood. We have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have someone who's been growing up, was once young, and I guess technically still is, representing Twisted Minds. It is YoungYakov. Here we go. Oh my god, as soon as I saw the bracket, I mean, it's huge. And so we can go over the bracket after this series. Exclamation mark B in the chat. The bracket was daunting, I'll be honest. Like, looking at the bracket and seeing so many matchups, so many players from Europe, from North America, from Korea, from Southeast Asia as well. It was a little bit overwhelming. Didn't quite know where to look, what to go for, but something caught my eye at the bottom of the bracket. An NA player. The reason why I bring that up is because NA players are a rarity here. This is a good time for Asia, for Korea. It's an okay time for Europe as well. It's an awful time. It's an awful time for NA. Not the best time in North America at the moment, if you want to be competing in this event. So we don't get too many of them. Australia is a rarity. He's a little bit different, Australia and Scarlet, because they live in Korea. But when it comes to some of these other players, they don't. So we rarely get to see them amongst the Koreans, amongst the Europeans in events like this. But Trigger is here, and I'm ready for it. I want to feature him as much as I can, and he's going to be going up against someone who has been on the rise recently. If you've been tuning into the World Team League broadcast, then you know that YoungYakov is not so young anymore. He's been popping off. He's been arguably performing better than Classic in the WTL matches that we covered. Unfortunately, Twisted Minds did not make the cut. They did not make it in. They were 4th place, and you had to make top 3 to make it into Code S. But regardless, YoungYakov is a very formidable player, has shown us that. And as a result, it's not going to be as easy here for Trigger. Trigger, he's a bigger name. I feel like a lot of people put a lot of hype behind Trigger, especially in recent times. He's top 3 in NA at the moment. The only people above him are, I would say, Australia and Scarlet at the moment. And even then, you can make an argument for Trigger and like how well he's been performing, and how much he's been really doing here on that grind set. But yeah, up against an up-and-coming player like YoungYakov, well, we'll see how they can perform. I do think I compare them, actually. I do think they're pretty comparable with each other, so I'm very excited to see how they shape up. As for the time being, Trigger is going to be shading into the main base. He's going to be looking for some damage here, poking, prodding wherever he can. Will not get a drone yet. Oh, do have a quick spore there. Good control out of YoungYakov, and not going to be losing any of his drones in the main. Did lose one earlier, though, at that 3rd base. As back at home, Trigger is going to be transitioning, or I say transitioning, he's going to be opening up with a Stargate. We talk about this all the time when casting Trigger, but Trigger, he is often going for these Stargate openers. He very rarely mixes it up with a Robo or a Twilight Council opener. Trigger, he's just not that kind of player. You know, he's very standard when it comes to his openers, at least. Very by the book, very above the belt, and yeah, I do think YoungYakov is going to be pretty comfortable against that kind of play style. YoungYakov, like many Zerg players that we do feature here, he likes to be in the driver's seat. He likes to dictate the pace of the game. He likes to try and make the Protoss dance to his music. So ideally, for YoungYakov at least, the Protoss player is playing standard. That's kind of best case scenario here for our Zerg player. Behind this, there's our Forge. We should be seeing a Twilight Council. If we get a delayed Twilight Council, and if we go for a Robo first, this is looking to be a very tech-heavy build here from Trigger. Meanwhile, 5 drones go down. Oh my god. 5 workers will go down. We still have an Oracle in between the natural and the main base as well. Damage is being done, and YoungYakov, he's all in. This is what I meant earlier. Again, YoungYakov, he's a very aggressive player. He likes to dictate the pace of the game. He likes to be in the driver's seat, and boy, is he driving. Where is he going? Off a cliff, Papi. And is he going to take Trigger with him? Because the Lings are flooding across the map. The Queens are willing as well. Is a 28 drone Ling all in. Ling Queen all in. We have a Baneliness behind this as well, so we can Bane Bust. The goal here to at least kill the third base. Here we go. The Lings are actually looking to bust into the natural even shield battery. Just now being thrown down. The Queens are still waddling across the map to add to that anti-air to deal with these oracles. Baneliness still not done though. Without it, we can't quite bust it. And that's a massive reaction. Shield batteries, cannons are on the way. Oh my god. They're on the way, but they're not done yet. One Oracle does get caught out here. A bit of a drive-by, gets caught out by the Queens in the process. The Lings, they do divert their attention over towards the third base. They're going to get us around on the Nexus at least. At the same time, the Queens are pushing on forward. Cannons and shield batteries are finishing up Trigger. He is holding it as natural, but he will lose a third. I don't see a world where he can hold on to this base, and YoungYakov, he's going home. He is content with the damage he's done. He has killed the third base. He's traded relatively well with some of these gateway units as well. And he is transitioning back at home. He is droning and working on his lair. The Banelings were never morphed in. We never really committed. Really mature, I would say. Really mature of YoungYakov to recognize that he could not kill his opponent, that the defensive position was just a little bit too good, and that YoungYakov would have to back off. Now the question becomes, was it enough damage? As the Oracles once again, they get across the map. 4 more drones go down. They're camping the Spore Crawlers as well. At the same time, Lynx try to counterattack, but no, we have good enough SimCity, and Trigger, he will defend. At the same time, oh god, forcing some more cancelled spores here, getting some more kills. 6 more drones go down. YoungYakov, he doesn't have the best economy to begin with. He's still working on his lair. He's still working on his tech of choice, which I imagine is going to be a safety Roach Warren into +1 melee. And as the dust settles, who do I give the edge to here? I mean, Blink and +1 are about to finish. We have a Templar Archives on the way as well. Trigger, he's getting his third base back up and running. He has a comparable worker count to the Zerg player. I would give the edge to Trigger at the moment. I do think that he is in the driver's seat. I do think that he has not sustained enough damage to really make it worth YoungYakov's while. But we'll see if YoungYakov can make up for that. He's being a little bit aggressive with these Lings. We have 18 more Lings on the way. Baneling speed as well. Interesting choice. So YoungYakov, he's avoiding roaches entirely. He's making a second Baneling nest. I think that's meant to be the Roach Warren. I'm not gonna lie, I think that's supposed to be a Roach Warren, so I'm a little bit concerned for YoungYakov as the Stalkers are pushing on forward here. They focus down one of the Queens, and the Transfuse is a little bit too good. Soul Transfuses from YoungYakov. He's holding on for dear life. Behind this, Storm is on the way. Trigger trying to apply as much pressure as he can. He's not looking to kill, but he's looking to maim as, oh, it wasn't meant to be a Roach Warren. Hydra Den on the way. So Lingbane Hydra, the composition of choice for YoungYakov. We'll see if he can get away with it. So far, he does hold. He's going for a bit of a Baneling counterattack as well at the same time over here on the left-hand side. But Trigger, he checks and he does come across it. He does scout the Banelings. He's getting ready. Shield batteries. The rest of the army is going to be rotating over as well, but the Lings do catch them. Stalkers are getting caught out. We need the Oracles here to support as well, but the Oracles, they are busy dealing with these Banelings. No! The probes! Oh my god. The probes, they run into the Banelings, but the Banelings will remove command and the probes survive. A little bit lucky there for Trigger, not gonna lie, he does survive with those probes. At the same time, he recalled back home. How many did he lose? He lost 5 Stalkers. Not ideal, but not too many. So Trigger will hold on. Meanwhile, YoungYakov is just saturating his third base. He's working towards a 4th as well. He's got some decent saturation going, but Trigger, he's ahead in the workers. He should be working towards a 4th base momentarily. Storm is done, by the way. But just because we have Storms doesn't mean that they're going to be connecting here. Again, a lot of Head Templar, but where are the Archons? We need Archons to support. We need Zealots as well. Mainly Archons would be amazing against Lingbane. They do so much to buffer and to have a defensive line to protect these High Templar. Oh. Oracles come in. We weren't quite paying attention though, so not too many drones or no drones go down. Just some lost mining time, but Trigger, at least he confirms the 4th base. He confirms the saturation as well. Lings are going for a counterattack. These High Templar, again, they're looking so exposed. There it is, the first Archon. The first couple of Archons are on the way. And Trigger, he is building himself up, building up this 4th base, cannon, shield batteries. At the same time, YoungYakov, now that he's gotten up to 4 base saturation, Lunkers are on the horizon here for the Zerg player. We have an infestation pit for the Hive Tech, for the Vipers. Ooh, the Banelings do waddle in, but +2 is not done. Only 1 Baneling makes it in and 4 workers go down. Trigger, he is going to be holding. He is holding on. But can he successfully split up his attention and defend in time, as he's actually getting ready for a bit of a counterattack, it looks like. We still have a robot on the way. I imagine this is going to be for a Warp Prism, maybe for some Colossi and some more diverse splash damage. But Trigger is moving out with 2 armies. Can he keep these armies alive? Can he survive against these Ling surrounds here that are being set up by YoungYakov? Storms are being thrown. Now we have a lot of storms available, but again, the Lings actually go for a counterattack instead. At the same time, a big run by here at the 4th base. Drones are going down. Storms, oh my god, insane storms on those Hydras. At the same time, the Lings are they're busy dealing with the stack defense. The cannons, the shield batteries are holding on. At the same time, an entire base is going down. Trigger, he's winning on both fronts, and he's defending at the same time as well. He only loses 4 workers. And he gets a kill on this hatchery. He still has plenty of energy for storms. He can still keep going. YoungYakov is being pulled apart. 24 workers go down. A 4th base as well. YoungYakov is trying to expand here on the right-hand side. He deals with the Archons at least, but Trigger, his High Templar on the left-hand side, they survived. They saw plenty of energy, and yeah, GG gets called. Trigger will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Oh my god. Quite an explosive game number 1 as well. We had YoungYakov going for, of course, his Ling all-in, his Ling Queen all-in with a Baneling nest behind it, but we never really got to see the Banelings really come into play, at least initially. Later on, we saw a couple of run-bys, but they weren't quite able to connect. They weren't able to hit their mark. Trigger was able to react in time, was able to defend well enough, and again, that storm timing, that storm push, the storm pushes even, just got a little bit out of control. GG. Again, it was YoungYakov attempting to recover from an all-in position, so it was a rough road to walk there for YoungYakov, a road that he wasn't quite able to traverse. Oh, as I should, sorry, fix that. There we go. Just fixing up the races, as we are switching over to the European server. And hopefully we don't get left behind. Oh, okay, we're good. We are hopping servers back and forth. Game 1 was on NA, Game 2 will be on EU. Just for those that are curious. Those that are curious how this is going. And we are getting ready for game number 2. Of course, game 1, Trigger had a bit of a server advantage. Now, YoungYakov will have said advantage. Is that going to be enough to overcome Trigger, though? Is it going to be enough to surpass him and to tie up the series and force an ace match? I hope so. You know, I'm always greedy like that as a caster. I want all the games, Papi, all the games. Give me all the ace matches. Unless it's a TVT. Even Korean TVTs, they're fine. They're fine. I love them. Other regions, though, so we're getting into our next game. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the Canadian Protoss representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player representing Twisted Minds. It is YoungYakov. Catching up the chat. Up. Sorry, I just sneezed for a moment. Huge, puppy. Yes, the bracket. It's massive. It's insane. I was just blowing my nose. guys. But yeah, the bracket is huge, and we will go over the brackets momentarily. Once we do wrap up this series, we'll have a moment of reprieve to go over all the matches and where we want to go. At least I hope so. The other scary thing here about the bracket is that because there's so much going on, there is going to be a little bit of urgency on my side to quickly find a series and to, jump on something as soon as I can. So yeah, hopefully I'm able to maintain myself. Usually I have like a co-caster with me to help me find matches, but today I'm going to be on my own, so yeah. In between matches, I'm going to be a little bit frantic, looking for a series before I can settle down and go over the bracket. I'll do my best, though. I'll do my best. For now, though, we do have some pretty standard openers. It's going to be a hatch gas pool opener here from YoungYakov. Likewise, Trigger back at home going for a gate expand into a cybercore. Also, Trigger going for a more greedier opener here, going for the Nexus before cybercore. It is going to be a slight variation here. Nothing too major, but as I say that, YoungYakov, upon seeing the opener, 6 lings. 6 lings are on the way. That is more than is normal. So looks like YoungYakov wants to be a little bit aggressive. He may look to try to bypass the first unit and slip in and try to get a free scout. Maybe get a probe or two. We'll see what these lings can get done. As lings are going to be moving out across the map, we have 6 lings in total. For those wondering, the standard amount is 4 lings, and you would only make them if you got probe scouted. But Trigger, he didn't even probe scout. He has been cutting a lot of corners. Very greedy here from Trigger. Stalker is being baited out by this Overlord, and now the lings, they could try to get a kill on this Stalker or bypass the Stalker entirely. But Trigger, he does pull back, and these lings do not find a way in. If the Stalker was chasing this Overlord, that would be the cue for YoungYakov to go for it and dive. But alas, Trigger, he's taking this slow and steady, and as a result, YoungYakov, he doesn't find a way in. So when it comes to the early game, I would say that Trigger has come out slightly ahead. He cut corners, he was being very greedy here, and he wasn't punished for it, the way that YoungYakov was hoping to punish. Lings arrive, but we have an adept behind this. We have a Stalker, there's the secondary wall, and yeah. Trigger, he is perfectly fine. Link Scout confirms, I guess, the wall at least, but we don't get eyes on too much else, as the Overlord is going in to get confirmation on what exactly is going on. A Stalker opener typically suggests a Twilight Council, but the Oracle has just revealed itself, and we're going to get confirmation of the Stargate. So YoungYakov is going to be getting ready back at home. We have 2 queens in the natural, we have 2 queens in the main, and we have more queens in production. So YoungYakov, he should be fine. He has all the tools that he needs to defend. Bearing in mind that last game, Trigger was able to do an insane amount of damage with his first couple of Oracles. We'll see if he can do the same. Spores are on the way. What I appreciate is that I love that YoungYakov, he's actually getting a spore in every base. This is something that a lot of Zerg players skip, and a lot of Zerg players, they rely on just their queens, so they cut corners and they skip spores. But YoungYakov, he's taking it seriously, and he knows how good Trigger is. He knows, or he's aware how much drones he lost in game 1, so YoungYakov has adapted. He's playing it safe. Playing it very safe with all these spore crawlers. You can see even here, Trigger, he dips in, but he is denied by the spore crawler at the 3rd base, and YoungYakov doesn't lose anything. Doesn't lose any drones. So again, YoungYakov, after experiencing Trigger in game 1, he's just tidying up his defenses here in game 2, being very careful here with his mineral lines, making sure he doesn't give Trigger the opportunities that he got in that first game. Behind this, a Twilight Council follow-up into a gateway explosion. Oh my god, no forge! So far, 6 gateways. I'm feeling an 8 gate all-in out of Trigger. Oh my god. The Oracles have arrived. Good target firing, a bit of an overextension. Trigger will lose 1 already, and there is the 8th gateway. Oh boy. Sorry, so 4 in the main. Yeah, 2 here in the natural. So sorry, 6 for the time being. But there's no forge. And to me, that reads that we're not really looking for a longer game. We're not looking for a mid game. I wouldn't be surprised if we throw down additional gateways. We'll keep our eye on Trigger. Ooh, as he already loses a Stalker. We have to be very careful, especially when we're going for these big 3-base all-ins, when we're very gateway heavy. We need to make sure we maintain the Stalker count as ideally it's supposed to snowball out of control and able to just, yeah, become something that can't be dealt with by the Zerg. But here we go. We are transitioning. A gas has been taken here at the third base, and now we throw down additional tech. There's the Forge. There's the Robo. Now, honestly, I'll be honest, I feel like this was never the initial plan. I feel like because an Oracle just died, because a Stalker just died, Trigger, he's transitioning and he's, you know, now taking up and thinking further ahead. As a result, YoungYakov's in a pretty good position. Lings are coming in first round, but the shield battery is able to maintain here. One Stalker falls, but only one. As YoungYakov, he is free to drone up. He takes his fourth base. We have a Baneling Nest on the way. Roach speed, a +1 melee is done. And YoungYakov, he's looking pretty comfortable. Trigger is stuck at home. He's stuck at home, like teching up, working on upgrades. His fourth base is delayed, and now we have that Robotics Bay on the way again, far later than we would have liked. There's the second Robo. There's the Temple Archives again, just throwing down all the tech we can just to catch up. And as a result, YoungYakov is able to freely drone. He hasn't really lost much. I say that 4 transferring workers were called out. As YoungYakov is working on the 5th base. Infestation Pit on the way for Hive Tech for Vipers. And as this fourth base is being taken, and can YoungYakov stop the 4th? He does have a lot of Lings. They are +1 melee. We're going to try to engage. We're going to surround on some of these pylons, on the shield batteries. Those are kills, not cancels, by the way. Pretty well done by YoungYakov. Finally, we do have the first Colossi in production here for Trigger. Upon seeing the 4th base, that should be the cue for YoungYakov to drone up to 80. And there we go. 10 workers are on the way. And YoungYakov can now fully saturate his 4th and start a little bit of saturation at this 5th. And now he can focus on his army. Hive in production. More Roaches on the way. Once the Hive is done, we can get into Vipers. And by the time we get out a large enough Colossus count, there should already be Vipers out for the Zerg. So yeah, this scale, the SimCity is a little bit awkward as well. The Archons and the Colossus have to go the long way around to get out of that Robo, so less than ideal. It's okay. But again, Trigger, he has had a really rough start this game, and he's just been playing catch-up for the past couple of minutes, which is why YoungYakov is about to max out. Again, the most critical part here, the most crucial part for YoungYakov is going to be the Hive Tech, is going to be the Vipers. If he can get them out in time for these Colossus, then he shouldn't really be in too much trouble. There it is. 3 Vipers are on the way. Adrenal Glands as well for his Lings. The hard part is over. YoungYakov, he is maxed out, and he's getting ready for his first push. Now, he shouldn't go for this until he gets his Vipers out. The Vipers are still in production, and they still need to gather up energy, but while that's happening, YoungYakov, he's spreading creep quite freely here towards the north, towards the south. He's just establishing himself, throwing down site defense for these Zealot run-bys. He is getting ready. I think maybe the one thing that I would say is that it may be wise for YoungYakov to throw down a Spire, just in case. For all he knows, there could be like a Skytoss transition on the way. Outside of that, though, like, he's looking pretty solid. But now Trigger, he's just amassing his army. He is up to 4 Colossi. And YoungYakov is maxed out. I mean, both players are maxed out, to be fair. So the way that this dynamic works is that YoungYakov, he wants Trigger to push into him, and YoungYakov is going to be looking for a surround. He's going to be looking for an ideal position. And as I bring up the Spire, there it is. The Spire's on the way. So YoungYakov, he's getting ready for Skytoss, just in case that we're on the horizon. He can even take up into Broodlords at this point. At the same time, Prism slips into the main base, but the Queen is in position. And can he get a kill? The Prism will survive. Zealots do bust on in. At the same time, Banelings are rolling on forward. Not the best engagement. No! Another base engagement, and one Viper goes down. Second Viper goes down. Trigger, he has quite a bit of momentum going his way. There's another abduction. Bailings, they roll on in. We get some decent connections, and it looks like YoungYakov should be able to get on top of this. Takes down one Colossus. Another will survive. At the same time, though, these Zealots, they're wreaking havoc in the main base. 12 workers go down, and the Zealots are still not dealt with. Trigger is getting too much done at the same time. His main army, there's not much when it comes to the main army, but he's pushing on forward, threatening these bases. The Zealots are really what's doing damage. Meanwhile, Trigger, is he overextending? He's going to lose his army. Colossus goes down. The Prism is going to get filed, and Trigger is going to lose everything. Just a little bit too adventurous. Meanwhile, the Zealots, they're still in the bases. They're still getting damage done. Workers are falling. Roach reinforcements are going down as well. Like, these Zealots, they have more than paid for themselves. But again, Trigger, he was a little bit wasteful. He was a little bit too trigger happy, and you know, he lost what little that was left from his main army, and now he has to rebuild. Now, as the dust settles, he did do a lot of economic damage, and YoungYakov, he is down to 65 workers. That is 3 base saturation. That's not enough really for him to sustain himself, but he has higher tech. Greater Spire is on the way. He's getting ready for potentially Broodlords. He doesn't have the economy for Broodlords, but you know, he's gonna have options available once he joins up again. The question becomes, like, Trigger hasn't lost any probes. Like, he doesn't have to probe. He's rebuilding his army, and by the time he pushes out YoungYakov, will he be ready for it this time? Unlike the previous fight, there are no Bailings. There is some Roach Ravager, yes, but not that much of it. He doesn't have the best economy either. He's still joining up back up to 75. Remember, he had like over 80 workers earlier. He lost everything. Yeah, YoungYakov is backing off. Trigger remaxing, rebuilding, still not transitioning into Skytoss. Still committed to a ground toss army, making Immortals to help buffer. Interesting. Storm is done. 5th base is being taken. And now suddenly, with this 5th base, the pressure is on YoungYakov to deny this 5th. Ooh, the first Broodlords are on the way, and that is going to be the win condition here for YoungYakov. There is no good answer to these Broods. How do we deal with Broodlords? You can do so with a high enough Stalker count, but we don't have that many Stalkers. You know, this is mainly Archon, Immortal, Colossus, Storm. Not that many Stalkers are available here. The other thing, of course, is Tempest. You know, Skytoss units are another good answer to Broodlords, but we don't have a Fleet Beacon, we don't have additional Stargates. Trigger is heavily reliant on the ground army, and he's heavily focused on robo production. His army isn't looking too flexible, doesn't have too much anti-air. He is so hyper-fixated on the Roach Ravager that he's not thinking further ahead, and he's going to be blindsided by these Broodlords. Or will he? Have we hit critical mass? We have what? This is the 6th Broodlord on the way. Now 7th Broodlord on the way. That's pretty good, not gonna lie. Revelation may have just revealed them as well. There it is. Broodlords have been revealed. Good feedbacks. Now Trigger knows, how does he respond to this? How does he react? What does he do? Again, he cannot dive on those Broodlords. There it is. Fleet Beacon, a 2nd Stargate, Skytoss. Now the problem is, this is a late transition. This is late tech for Trigger. This is already something that should have been on the way as of a couple of minutes ago. And because it's such a late reaction to these Broodlords, YoungYakov, he's going to be able to max out, and he may be able to push out first before we can get Carriers or Tempest. But I love this. I love this from Trigger. That's a kill, not a cancel on the hatchery. Another hatchery is going to be going down. He splits up his army, and he's abusing the immobility of the Broodlords. The Broodlords are out of the map. They're stuck. Well, they're nowhere near this fight. Big storms are going to be going up. Trigger, he wants to trade. He's going to be losing his Archons. He does get 10 workers, but this is going to be an expensive loss for Trigger. The Immortals go down. The Colossus as well. At the same time, here comes that 2nd army. Where are we going? The Broodlords have been dragged all the way to the south. We could try to take down top right, but we're going even further than that. I don't know if I like this. I'll be honest. We're pushing pretty far onto creep. The Broodlords are here. Good fungal on the army, and Trigger, I feel like he overextended. I feel like this is not where he wanted to be. Yeah, he's gonna lose everything. Oof. An expensive loss for Trigger. I thought that he was gonna hit top right. Like, top right would have been perfect. He just killed this hatchery, we go top right, we kill another hatchery, then we back off. Trigger, he blinks with 40, takes down a Broodlord. Now he's going top right, but it may be too late at this point. Trigger, he's working towards carriers. Yeah, now he's focusing down the hatchery, and can he get the hatchery while escaping? Takes down the base, but the Roach Ravager is not too far behind. At the same time, Stalkers are trying to catch some of these Broodlords, but they get caught out themselves. Yeah, Trigger, he's bleeding out too much. He may have killed 2 bases. Like, YoungYakov may be struggling a little bit economically, but he's been building up this Broodlord count. And looking at the units tab, we have 9. 9 Broodlords. We kept the Vipers alive. YoungYakov is close to maxing out. Trigger needs time, and he's been a little bit wasteful with his units. He hasn't been able to preserve his army and build it up over the course of this game. And Trigger, he's being very careful on how to engage or where to engage. Zealot Rabbis are pulling back the main army. Broodlords are pushing forward. They have Vipers and Infestors to support them. No Corruptors, but do we have Neural? No, we do not have Neural, but we do have Fungals. There we go, the Power Bombs are thrown down. Good target firing from those Interceptors, but the Biles and the Fungals, oh my god. That's all we have to rely on here with this anti-air, and the Biles, once again, they will try to connect with that carrier, but they miss. These carriers are doing well, but the Nexus goes down. As the carriers push on forward, another big fungal, but good splits. Not a single carrier falls, but the rest of the army does. Sorry, the rest of the economy does, as 31 probes go down. At the same time, a big Zealot counterattack is also going to be crippling the economy here of YoungYakov. We're going for the Greater Spire. Greater Spire is going to go down. The Broodlords, they turn back around. So does the Roach army. YoungYakov is stuck long distance mining. He does not have the best economy. The Hive goes down. No more Vipers. No more Vipers are going to be available. What you see is what you get. Oof. Some good feedbacks. Good storms, but it looks like these Broodlords, they have just pinned this army in. We recall whatever we can back home. The carrier survived. Do we have enough Corruptors? 7 Corruptors up. 1 carrier goes down. 2nd carrier goes down as well. Good pickoffs from YoungYakov. Trigger, he has to back off. He has to respect this. YoungYakov, he's on 1 base. He has 1 patch. 1 mineral patch left here at this base. Bapi, mine here. And there we go. He's sending some workers over. At the same time, a Ling Rumbai takes down a Nexus. These are Cracklings, of course. +3 melee and Adrenal. These Ling counterattacks on their own, they can just contain Trigger here. Both players are hurting. YoungYakov now has a full mining base. But he can't rebuild any more Broodlords. You know, he lost his Hive, which means he lost his Spire as well. It's a long road to recovery when it comes to the tech of YoungYakov, but honestly, he can be content with just rebuilding Roaches and Lings. But he has to rebuild the Roach Warren as well. God, I didn't realize how much tech was killed. At least the spawning pool survived. At least could have been worse. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. As Lings are just keeping tabs on things. The carrier count is getting higher and higher. There it is. Neural is on the way. That is going to be a big upgrade here for YoungYakov. It's something that was missing and lacking earlier. Oof. Oh my god. Solid feedbacks. Taking down one of those Vipers. The Corruptors are looking for something to pick off. They're looking for a Nexus, a Cybercore. Whatever they can get their hands on. Uh-oh. This is not where they want to be. Ah. Don't want to be here. There are too many carriers. Corruptors are going to get the hell out of here. I'm really concerned, though. So what's concerning to me is that we haven't rebuilt... Well, I mean, we just finished up the lair. We just rebuilt the lair. There's no Spire. We're not getting more anti-air. There is no more anti-air. It's the Corruptors that you see, 6 Corruptors. That is it. Which means, really, the only way to deal with these carriers is going to be the Neurals, right? Like, Neural is really the only way. That's a risky thing to hinge your bets on. Take over the carriers and turn them on themselves. I don't know if I'm convinced. Not with all these Archons, not with all these High Templars. I mean, there's only one High Templar. It is. Roach Warden goes down. These Infestors, they need a little bit more time to gather up energy. They actually cannot Neural. Some of them can. Not all of them. Here we go. Trigger, he's edging ever closer, pushing into the bases. One Archon goes down. Trigger opting to go into the natural instead. He's trying to force YoungYakov to push into him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Massive storm on the army. 8 workers go down, and Trigger, he's making his way into the main. There's no way out from here. Pushing further into the belly of YoungYakov. Infestors are coming forward. Again, they're looking for those Neurals. Alright, here we go. We managed to neural almost every single one of those carriers. Corruptors are coming in as well. We do have a power bomb, but it looks like I don't think there's enough. Files will connect. Power bomb as well, but oh, there's only 3 carriers left. There's only 2. Oh, the Biles. Only 1 carrier remaining, but the last Corruptor is gonna go down. Oh, the Biles. And it looks like Trigger, he barely wins this fight. 1 carrier left. Every Infestor died, every Viper, every Corruptor. There's no anti-air, there's no Queens, there's no Spores. Nothing shoots up outside of these Ravagers, and there's no more Ravagers. There's one left. Yeah, there's none left. There is 0 anti-air remaining. This 1 carrier is winning the game here for Trigger. He gets on top of another Broodlord. GG gets called, and Trigger will take game number 2 and the series. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Trigger barely does it towards the end there. Again, I was really concerned about the lack of anti-air for YoungYakov, but really impressive that despite only having 6 Corruptors, he almost killed, what was that, 8 carriers? He almost killed every single one. Only 1 left. Only 1 survived. Oh god. That was so close. Oh, so close. Imagine having, I don't know, 2 more Ravagers for Biles, or 1 more Infestor for 1 more Neural, 1 more Corruptor even. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Trigger as he does advance on into the next round, and he has an opponent ready and waiting. We're heading over to the land of the Americas.